Me?
There, now Ben sounds good.
What's the topic today?
Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 813 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today by Ben Funky Askren, the jewel of the Midwest, which is actually not JD, but JD's mustache, and making his triumphant return after negotiating Cael's contract extension yesterday. He got that across the finish line so he can join us today. Sion Williams, the director of operations here at Flow Sports. I think that's your title.
Senior director.
Oh, senior director. Okay.
But you know,
Okay.
like I said, it's just a word.
It's just a word.
It does. I don't think it's even worth the paper it's printed on.
It's just a word that's tied directly to compensation here at Flow Sports.
I don't know. I think
Shout
I'm
out
underpaid.
shout out to Sion. Got a very No senior here. Dare to dream. Dare to dream. No.
I don't hold rank over anybody. Technically, I'm higher on the totem pole, but you know, I don't look at things like that.
No, technically I don't think so.
Technically, you know, I'm higher. See, director is higher than senior. Senior director is higher than director.
No, because I'm a lifelong learner, so I don't want to have achieve those levels. It's very pious sounding, you know.
You're right, man. Like I said, it's not worth the paper it's printed on. It's I don't know. You ever like throw paint on the wall and see what color you get? That's kind of like what the title is.
I don't know what that means.
All
Okay,
right.
well, Sion is here. We got a couple things to get to. One, Gable Steveson continues his teasing of the wrestling community, but he's coming back. Listen, guys, he's coming back. It's happening. He's coming back. Are you? No, he's gonna come back. He's coming back. I think he's coming back to wrestle for the U. I think he's gonna try to make at least another Olympic team.
He ain't going back to no Olympic teams. That's just a pipe dream.
Oh, I'll place wagers with all you guys.
That's a pipe dream.
I want to confirm to you, Christian, that my guy John Veal's in the chat, and he confirmed my story from yesterday
Which one was that?
about Ed Ruth.
Oh, that he thought you were Jake Herbert.
Yes.
Dang. I don't know how to beat Jake Herbert, man.
Oh, they
What?
said they can't hear me. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Ben,
People in
don't
the chat are
say
saying-
anything profound.
Okay, don't say anything profound. John Veal also told me a really funny story, which I don't know. I find, without Ed Ruth's permission, I find maybe a little bit inappropriate for radio. So I will not tell that story unless Ed Ruth were to give me permission.
Okay. Well, that's a great tease.
Go ahead and tell him anyway, man. I would.
No, can't tell it.
I would. Just don't mention his name.
No,
Oh, we
remember
know
that
you
time-
would. You almost
remember that
implicated
time
people in
I-
you
prostitution
wouldn't tell us
rings.
the story, Sion?
I didn't call any names. I just told a story. I didn't call any names.
That was when Mr. Sion Ben Askren had your mic cut off.
We had to cut him off. That was he got a little bit off the rails that day.
Yeah, that day. Okay, so
All day.
Gable put out another Instagram video of him wrestling for Minnesota, and I think
deleted it.
Oh, he loves it. Deleting, posting, just so we can talk about it, probably, but that's okay. Think he'll be
That's why
back.
I said I'm done with the gimmick. Just fast forward to second semester wrestling season or whenever. If he's back, awesome. Bonus.
JD
I'm not looking
is
too much into
suppressing.
it.
He's a little. I think he's a little irritated with Gable.
I refuse to be teased.
Well, the thing is that it's man. The hard part about it is he's just so much better than everybody else. I'm actually not that excited about it. Like if I thought, oh man, this guy's gonna have some competition, he's gonna help his team. Maybe he wins, maybe he doesn't win. He's just gonna kill everyone. I don't know. I'm like,
That's why I don't care about NCAA.
Yeah,
I
I'd
care
rather
about
have-
Olympic.
How
Sure, I'd rather
quickly you
wrestle
sell?
international.
How
Yeah,
quickly
me too.
Ben sells his Wyatt Hendrickson stock? I mean, just no faith. No faith.
listen,
in an
Wyatt
American
Henderson, I called him the NCAA finals, except
You
he can't
did?
be Gable. We all know that.
hero. Sion, what do you think about that prediction?
I think Ben might have been smoking some of that wacky tobacco.
Oh, Ben loves the wacky tobacco, as we all know.
I didn't see that episode when he called that one. I probably would have had to read through the screen and slap him.
No,
And say,
he was
"What are
on
you
the same
smoking?"
side, so I called All American, and these guys. I said, Tion, did you hear? I almost called you Tion because I was going to say taser. Did you hear? I said that I would be tased if he did not All American. These guys, they're too cowardly. They still haven't tased me though.
Really? I would have done the shit.
Well, he was supposed to be in New York City. And he didn't show up.
I'm going to Fargo. I'll be in Fargo.
I'll be in Fargo. Can we bring a taser?
I'll be in Fargo as well.
Sion, you don't have a taser?
I don't want
man.
whatever taser Sion has.
You got 50,000 comic books. You don't have one taser.
Nah.
Trade in one of those books for a taser.
So we gonna tase Ben
Sion
Yeah,
only
on
has the real
FRL.
deal.
I want him tased so much his hair just sticks up like he's in the NCAA finals.
Oh,
against
not that bad.
Jake
not that
Herbert.
bad.
Can we do that on FRL?
We'll do it at some point.
Yeah, why have we still not done a live FRL from the Fargo Dome?
We did last year.
I'm sure
We
probably
did?
have. I just haven't
Yeah.
been there. I haven't been.
Was I on it?
I do not
think
remember.
I was. I don't remember that.
Kozak has a taser, and he says he'll bring it to Fargo. Kozak in the chat.
Why does Kozak on a taser?
I mean, he's from Detroit. at minimum, you have those are probably standard issue for elementary school there.
No, I'll be there the 18th. Flo's
Okay.
hosting a social,
And he's the president of the senior director of party planning committee for Flo.
You want a good time, you got to have Sion there.
That's a good point. Sion has some great parties. Okay. Well, Sion, you had a actual reason you wanted to come on the show today. It's not
Man.
just. It's not just
did?
A,
Whoa,
it's not
let's
just
go.
a random drop in. No one knows about this. Maybe JD does, but no one else does. He's actually going to be serious.
Where do I even want to start? Man, I wish I should have sent what's his name some pictures. Let me text him real quick.
Text him real quick. So Sion, it's been I'll tee it up a little bit since Sion's wholly unprepared and can't find his phone currently, which he just had in his hand, not 5 seconds ago. Are you sitting on it?
I don't know.
All right, you can get up, buddy. He's a little round. Sion, I guess, shoot, it was right when Bracky got married. I want to say 4 years ago.
2018.
2018. He has a little bit of a health scare, and then a couple weeks ago, he had another kind of weird thing happen.
Like 2018, right after Final X, was like just got back from Final X that Monday morning, had a headache, and I was like, oh, okay, it's a headache, it happens. By the Tuesday, still had a headache. Wednesday, still had a headache. Thursday, headaches like splitting level 10. I was like, I probably should go to the doctor. I go to the doctor. The doctor's like, oh, there's nothing really wrong with you. So I gave me some stomach acid because I said I puked the night before. It's like, oh, yeah. So I was like, all right. He's like, if you still have a headache in 2 weeks, come back and see me. I think you just got allergies. I was like, and that was on Thursday. I was like, now if I still have a headache on Monday, I'm coming back and see you. I struggled through the weekend. And then, like, on Monday, I went back and said, man, my headache is, like, at a 10. And he's like, yeah, let me get your EKG. He's like, what does that got to do with my head? So
Because that's like your heart, right?
yeah, and I went to one of those men's health clinic, which was probably the first mistake since I was like in Texas, and I didn't have a doctor here in Texas since I
What is a men's health clinic?
yeah, one of those what is it, men's health?
That's what John Jones got busted for, boner pills.
Yeah, you can't be buying those gas station drugs.
Well, the thing was, I go there and I'm telling them my symptoms, and they were more concerned about, hey, you want to lose some weight? We got these shots you could get that, we get you to lose some weight, and, it's about $1,800. Like, yeah, but can we talk about my head here? And then they were like, okay. So I was like, hey, can I get a MRI? Like, you don't need one. I was like, that's why I pay for the good insurance. For the days I don't need it. He's like, oh, you don't need an MRI. So they gave me the EKG, and then he goes, well, since you keep insisting for MRI, we're going to give it, we'll get you one. And then they scheduled me the paperwork for Tuesday. I go in on Tuesday, and then they were like, okay, the paperwork's all fucked up. So, pardon the language. The paperwork's all screwed up.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah, the paperwork's all screwed up, so I couldn't get my MRI, and I come back to work at Flow, and I'm sitting here, my head's killing me, and I'm like, okay, man, this is just torture. And I'm talking to Mark Floriani, and then he goes, man, I said to him, like, man, my head's still killing me. He's like, wait, didn't you say your head's been killing you all last week when we were in that meeting? Like, yeah. He's like, man, go to the emergency room now. I was like, I don't care what you do. Go to the emergency room. So I go to the emergency room, and then they was like, I explained the symptoms, and then they ran me through the MRI, and then the guy came and said, I need you to sit down. And by this time, with the headaches, you Google all your symptoms. And at this point, I'm like, I think I got brain cancer. I think I'm going to die, or all these things, I sit down, and then the doctor goes, I need you to sit down. He goes, hey, you have a blood clot in your brain, and your brain swelling. And they said, your blood pressure is at 225. Like, we're not sure how you function. Did you drive yourself here? Like, yeah. It's like, yeah, we need to take you to the emergency room now. It's like, okay, I start walking. It's like, no, you can't walk. You need to sit down, and then we'll wheel you over there. So then I spent like the next 7 days in the emergency room. Like, barely could see the ceiling because they were debating whether they got to do surgery to put a hole in my head to relieve the pressure. And I was like, damn. I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right. I said, is this life-threatening? And it's like, it shouldn't be. But once we get it under control, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to live. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. So I spent like the next 7 days in ICU, like barely could do anything. But I mean, if I hadn't kept insisting, and the men's health clinic kept telling me, hey man, you no problem. If I'd listened to him and waited 2 weeks with that headache, I'd be pushing up daisies.
Dang.
And it's one of those things where only a few people in the company even know about that, Man, I didn't even call my mama. I was like, man, I just need to
Call your mom, Sion.
Well, no, I didn't call her at the time.
Why didn't you call your mom? That's rude.
At least call her after.
Yeah,
After, not before. You don't want to worry.
Actually, work called her and let her know I was in the hospital, but yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't call. I was like, nah, leave her. I'm like, I just need to concentrate right now. So the doctors are like, it's one of those things. If I hadn't kept going back, the doctors were telling you, oh, you're fine. But it's one of those things where you got to know your body and know something's wrong. And if one doctor tell you one thing, which it's a good thing I kept insisting for that MRI, and it's a good thing, I came into the office and just because if I just went back home instead of coming into the office, I probably wouldn't have been pushed to go to the doctor, and I wouldn't, at my blood pressure at 225. The next part was my head was going to explode if at any time now. If that had happened, I was like,
Jeez.
But the messed up part is immediately after I was sitting in the emergency room and they're sticking all these IVs in me, the men's health clinic doctor calls me, hey, they sent me over your scans, it says you have a blood clot, why don't you schedule an appointment to come see me when you get out?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm in the emergency room now. I was like, yeah, I'll come back. I'm like, I said, mother effer, if I listen to you, I'd be pushing up daisies right now. So the only thing I want to do is take a baseball bat to your knees.
That's the moral of the story. Don't go to men's health clinics.
Yeah.
I would never go to one of those men's health clinics again.
I don't know what that is.
It's like
I'm not
one of those, like, literally they're all over the country. Like, I think it's literally named Men's Health, and it's like when you
I
don't
just
have
told
a
you what it
regular
was for,
doctor.
Christian. 10
Yeah, I
minutes
guess
ago.
so.
But yeah,
It's
but
run by
like
the
I said,
magazine.
yeah, it was one of those things where they were more concentrated on like selling me weight loss supplements than worried about my health.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, pissed off. And then fast forward literally 4 years again, like 2 weeks ago, or like, was it 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
a week
about
and a half
that.
ago. I was like, go to work, eat lunch. I like, all of a sudden my skin started itching, which at the same time I had a doctor's appointment at my regular doctor down here, which is another thing, which is like, I'm really concerned about our healthcare system in this country. Because I scheduled a physical for that Friday, which I went to my doctor and they were like, oh, you said on your appointment you put follow-up. So I'm like, okay. It's like, yeah, so you only get a 15-minute slot. So you can't even get a full 30-minute physical. I'm like, okay, they just keep pushing you through the system around here. So I was like, all right, get me my physical, get me my regular medications, whatever. I go home, my hands start itching, like in my center of my hand starts like hurting. I'm like, okay, that's just weird. I go to sleep, I wake up on Saturday morning, my other hand's hurting. It starts swelling. I'm like walking on my feet like pins and needles. And then I'm like, holy crap, something ain't right here. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna lay in bed all day Saturday. I'm like, I'm not gonna do anything, just gonna relax. Something's wrong. Saturday night.
That's your phone. It's buzzing.
Somewhere.
Here, you talk. I'll look for it. Go to the one shot of Sion, Tyler, and I'll look for his phone.
It's in the
All right,
bag
Sian,
somewhere.
continue with the story.
But yeah, I mean, so I finally at Saturday night I called one of those virtual clinics, and then they go, "Oh, it sounds like you got carpal tunnel syndrome." So they prescribed me some medication, and then I go and pick it up, which did nothing for me. So then Sunday I go to the emergency room, and then they go, "Man, you got a lot of swelling. My hands are breaking out," and then they go, "Hey, it looks like you got arthritis with some inflammation." So they prescribed me another medication. They gave me a shot of antihistamine to help the swelling, and prescribed me another medication. I was like, okay. Monday morning, I'm like still hurting. My skin's about to explode. Like I'm like fully, and I'll send the pictures to Tyler here so he can put them up. My hands is like fully like pulsating. If I bend, it looks like my skin's gonna pop. And then I was like, go back to the emergency room on Monday. And then they go, it looks like you're having an allergic reaction to something. And then finally diagnosed me and gave me the right freaking shot and 3 more medication. It's literally like the medical system is kind of screwed up because, one, it shouldn't have taken three trips to the doctor for them to figure out what's wrong with me. And then, like, I think in a matter of a day and a half, I was prescribed 1, 2, 3, like freaking 6 different medications. 3 of them which was wrong.
So what is your?
You're as juiced as John Jones too.
Yeah, you're juiced. What's your message? We have a lot of men out there listening, probably men our age. Well, your age. I'm a little younger than you, Sion. But what's the message in all this?
The message in all this is, people got to start, one, believing their health. And, like, you go to one doctor. If what they telling you should work, screw that. Go back and find another doctor. If I hadn't went back to the emergency room, like, go back 3 times in a 2-day span, like, okay, there's something this is definitely not wrong. And I literally went to different places because I went to the first place, the virtual doctor. Second place, first emergency room, I thought they sucked. And then I went to another hospital. It's about, believing like something's wrong and you're not listening to the doctors, because doctors, like, literally when I went to the emergency room, even when I had that blood clot 4 years ago, and even when I did my physical that Friday, like, literally the systems become where they're just trying to get you out the door. You're now like literally a number. You get 15-minute slot, 15 minutes. Yes, yes, yes. I remember I used to go and get your physical. They used to check your lymph nodes. check your balls for any lumps. They don't even do that no more.
Man, what happened to the good old days?
Hey,
But
I'm
I'm-
gonna rub up on your balls, Sion.
Yeah,
But I mean, the doctors used to actually check you. Now they go, how you feeling? Okay. All right. Okay, good. Feeling good? You look good. All right, man. We'll re-sign your prescription.
Feel bad.
Good to see you.
It has been a minute since I had someone strange rub up on my balls.
Yeah, it's been too long, I say. So,
I'm telling Katie.
oh my gosh. I hope she's not listening. She might be. Well, Sion, I think you bring some great points. I think it's important to advocate for yourself. I think it's important to put your health in your own hands too.
But I think one of the things is, as men and as wrestlers, our pain threshold is still like at a different level than most people out there. So we sit there and we go, oh, it's all right. I can handle it. And literally, we could let ourselves get killed by if we don't pay attention. So it's one of those things, sure, you got the pain, but, man, everybody pays for insurance nowadays, a
Too much.
$25 copay. Yeah, a $25 copay could save your life. I'm like, nowadays, I'm like, any slight pain, I'm like, I'm going to the doctor. I'm not going to sit around and like, I can handle it. The old me would have been, I can handle it. Mm-hmm. But there's two situations here where I was like, if I hadn't sucked it up or people telling me keep going back, I could literally have been having some serious pushing up daisies and not sitting around.
That was definitely very scary.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're okay. I hope that you can get your health fully in order, and
Yeah, I need to start losing this fat. Who wants to be my trainer?
man, we'll do it.
I say Mark Bader should.
Bader, yeah, Bader be good. JD Raider, man, this guy comes in. This guy puts in the work. JD Raider. Now he's young, so
Almost
he
around.
he's still very much in the peak. You need someone that can more relate to people our age. As Sion's gonna, these pictures are kind of crazy.
I'm sending them to Tyler now.
His hands were, they were very large. Yeah, and I think it's a good point. People are a little, I think men can especially just like ignore stuff and just tolerate, but tolerating's not always the solution. And I'm glad Sion is maybe losing some of his stubborn ways when it comes to his health.
Oh, yeah.
That could be very helpful. Well, while we wait for that, there's something else this is actually really, really serious. Not that yours wasn't serious, but if you hadn't heard, there was a wrestler in Kansas named Damian Mendez who passed away this week from heat stroke. Now, Damian he's not just a wrestler. He's a very good wrestler. He's a nationally ranked guy, a 3-time Kansas state champion, I believe, and registered. He's going to wrestle. He was going to wrestle in Fargo, and he passed away running outside, extreme heat with what's reported as a sweatsuit. Obviously, attempting to cut weight, and it's an incredible tragedy to lose someone this young, and it's even more, to me, it's even more sad that he died for this reason, and I think a reason that is totally avoidable with, one, a little more oversight, but two, just education about how to cut your weight a smart way, and someone who's reached the level Damian has, and to think that you want to pull your water out, 10 days before a weigh-in. Just, we all, Ben and elite wrestler at the college level know that doesn't make sense. But for even a really good high school wrestler to not know just shows the level of, or the lack of education nationwide about how to cut your weight. And check out Sion's hands here as before we get back to this story. Crazy. So Sion, can you see that, Ben? That one on the left is insane.
Oh, gross.
Not good. Looked like if you poked it, I don't know what would come out.
I mean,
Obvious.
I couldn't even do this with my fingers. I was like my hands was like so fat, I couldn't even bend my fingers.
Yeah. So, all right, repivot back. And I kind of really just am interested in your perspective on how, first of all, definitely our sympathies go out to Damian and his friends and family. And he was committed to go to North Dakota State, so he's going to wrestle in Fargo at the school he's going to go to. It's like probably something he was super excited about, and just snatched away like that, something really senseless. And I'm curious, Ben, as someone that works with high schoolers frequently, your stance on weight cutting is definitely known, but I'm more interested in how pervasive is the bad weight cutting sort of reaction, right? Like to think, okay, I just need to stop eating, stop drinking, get all this water out, and do it, on a consistent basis. Just how pervasive is that without the education?
I would say very. I mean, I did it when I was in 8th grade because I didn't know any better. I had no one smart advising me on it. But I would say, like, we advise kids not to cut any weight for high school season. But with Fargo, the day before, and then they have the second morning weigh in plus 2 pounds. Like a lot of kids do it, and you almost kind of have to keep up a little bit. But yeah, this whole thing of I don't know why kids cut water weight so far ahead of time. Like it doesn't really make sense more than say 24 to 36 hours out. And so yeah, we're weeks out still, right? So the fact that he was doing it kind of sucks. And then obviously the other thing is you got to learn your body, and when you're too hot, it obviously can lead to terrible consequences. It sucks. Wrestling hasn't had an incident like this in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was before my recollection, so I want to say 20, 25 or more years.
That's when that weekend of 3,
yeah.
like literally 3 wrestlers in 2 weekends.
Yeah, sucks. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's no positive spin to put on it. It's senseless and it sucks.
One of the things that I have noticed, I have a lot of friends who have kids that are not wrestling. And, they're making up all these teams now to go to these tournaments and stuff. Like, oh, yeah, they want my son to wrestle. Wow, they wanted to cut about 12 pounds. Like, what? To wrestle? Mm-hmm. It's like, it also goes to, the coaches. I think it first starts with the coach. Well, it should always start with the parents because they should always be protecting their kids.
Yeah.
But sometimes the parents want their kids to get in the lineup so bad, like, well, what weight, son? You're going to have to make this weight. So it starts with the influence from the parents, and then it also goes to the coaches. I think that it starts with the parents, but goes to the coaches, where the coaches have to say, hey, I don't think that is safe for your kid. I can't have him wrestle on my team.
Yeah, I think, well, a lot of these tournaments, in high school, you have to certify for weights, and you can say that's a joke, but freaking
it saves lives.
I think it's a good thing, and I think, man, the certification was a pain in the butt as a coach to get kids at the weights you wanted. It was, I know you could cheat it if you wanted to, but if you did it the right way, it is preventative to an extent to prevent kids from certifying at a really low weight class. But I think part of the problem is the coaches, because fewer and fewer coaches, maybe this is not the case, but however they feel about weight cutting, it's not in vogue to publicly condone weight cutting, right? Like it was, right? You can be somewhat ostracized to an extent if you're saying, hey, you should cut weight. So because like the conversation about cutting weight, I think, is not happening as much, these coaches are kind of removed from even having the conversation about how to do it the right way, right? Now, you could get into, should a kid be cutting 15, 20 pounds for Fargo is a conversation. But we can all agree there are ways to do it that don't totally compromise your health, and there are ways to do it that absolutely do compromise your health. And if there's not a conversation about it to begin with, then you can leave kids kind of to their own devices. Yeah. You've got a tough wrestler who, with a very high pain threshold, that doesn't know their own limits, that thinks the feeling of their body overheating is just a natural response to them working hard and just like part of the process, when really it's your body saying, stop, I can't handle this, and then boom, some bodies just give out and they can't go any further. And I think I'm curious, Ben, if you think that is part of the thing too, like the coaches aren't even having the conversations to begin with because of the stigma around cutting weight.
I mean, I had a conversation with my guys about it last night. Just about, someone asked how far above weight should we be right now, and we had that talk about, where we want to be. And I mean, the other thing about which sometimes high school kids, I don't know why they forget this because it's so obvious, but it's like, listen, you could run for 4 hours and make weight, and you're going to wrestle like crap the next day. So is the whole point to make weight, or is the whole point to like wrestle the best you can?
Right.
And so, if your weight's way up, or if you're choosing the wrong weight class, then I don't care if you make weight. That's not the goal, right? The goal is to wrestle your best. And so if we're not doing that, then it doesn't matter if you make weight or not. I don't care, right? And so we had that whole conversation last night. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like good coaches probably are having those conversations with their athletes and kind of getting to know their athletes' bodies, but it is harder because obviously we push our, we'll say 8th grade and younger, to not cut like zero weight, like almost none. And then so as our kids get into 9th and 10th grade, it's you got to start getting to know the way they work and what their real weight is, because a lot of them lie to you because you're not actually seeing them on the scale every day. And so usually we got it pretty dialed in by the time we get to 11th to 12th grade. But yeah, I mean, obviously you're a coach, you're going to err on the side of not enough versus too much.
I don't think any kid should be cutting weight below 9th grade. Below high school, I don't think
we don't really do it.
I don't think you should be cutting.
Yeah, I agree. And, these kids that, they end up stunning their growth, long term potentially. I think, and when you think about, all right, how do you stop? How do you prevent stuff like this? And
education.
I think education is huge. I think educating an entire population when we have so many new wrestlers coming into the sport every year, I think is really hard. And I think getting all the coaches on the same page is hard. I feel like the system needs.
So do they need to use the certified?
What do you mean what do you mean by a system?
Well, okay, why do we have a day before weigh-in for high school kids in the middle of summer?
I'll tell you the easy reason is just for sake of bracketing purposes, right? Because if you have to change the brackets with a hour or 2 hour weigh-in, there's thousands of kids in a tournament, it becomes really, really difficult and challenging. So that would be,
So we're compromised. So the trade-off is convenience of putting a bracket together versus potentially health risks.
So how about they just certify like for freestyle, they certify with their high school weight they wrestle.
Yeah. But then with the certification process, if obviously I'm playing devil's advocate to your guys' solutions, but I think I'm in the game, so I'm playing realistic devil's advocate. If you do that, there are going to be some mugs cheating so bad. I mean, there are going to be people who find their dad's a doctor or the dad in the club, and he's willing to,
I don't like that.
Let them pass the piss hydration test without actually being hydrated or stuff like this, right? And so that system will be really badly gamed. I think this is the unfortunate part. As long as there's wrestling tournaments and there's weight classes, people are going to be trying to make weight. Some of them are going to do it really, really poorly. And obviously some parents / coaches with the wrong motivations are going to push their athletes to do things that they probably shouldn't be doing. So I think it's just, like I said, I think the situation we're in now versus 25 years ago or 20 years ago is significantly different, and it's better. And we can keep pushing ourselves in that direction. The day of weigh-ins will be better, but I think a tournament is big, or a Super 32 obviously is another way to do day before. It's freaking hard. I mean, to re-bracket that many people, I don't know. Maybe it's possible. I'm not a bracketing expert, so I can't tell you that for sure, but I know it's really challenging.
I ran the Cyclone Open, man. If there's one thing that goes wrong the morning off, I used to be the director of the Harold Nichols Open in Ames, and
senior director.
I was just the director back then, that tournament. But it's going to be like trying to fix a bracket the morning of, especially at that level. It's going to be almost impossible. By the time they fix the bracket, it's 2:00 in the evening. People will be wrestling until 3 in.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, I don't know if this is maybe we should be not encouraging kids to cut weight, a lot of weight or most efficiently. But I know one of the things that came out of the Olympic Training Center, this is a lot of years ago, and this is something that really helped me, is like, and this is probably in this situation makes a lot of sense, is you actually can't get too hot, right? There's like an ideal temperature for your body to sweat, and once you get above that temperature, then your body's ability to sweat goes down, and then eventually, obviously, it shuts down. And so you need to like be able to moderate that. That's like not staying in a sauna too long, for example, or if you have plastics on, like if it's 90 degrees out, you probably don't need plastics on, or maybe like you just need to walk. Like you shouldn't be getting too hot because it'll slow your sweating down, and it'll obviously make your body shut down eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I think outside of convenience for tournament directors, why would mat side weigh-ins be a bad idea?
Yeah, that's it. Otherwise, I love mat side weigh-ins. I mean, they do it in jiu-jitsu.
Outside of convenience for tournament directors.
Mat side, I mean, you still have 1,000 kids out there. How is that going to be possible?
It's just a part of the check-in process. Boom, you check in. Hey, Piles checking in. Step on the scale. Boom, you're on. Go. If you're out, you lose. You forfeit out. Just have a scale.
I actually don't hate it.
Why can't? I mean, no one is going to be. And yeah, maybe you have to weigh in in a singlet and shoes. That's part of it. You have to be under, and you have to be under all day long.
Yeah, because
it gets rid of it completely and totally.
Circumstances.
Mat side weigh-in, like for a tournament like Fargo, I think that'll be almost impossible.
I don't think we can't get 33 scales. You can't get 33 scales in America to Fargo, North Dakota. You can't get 33 scales to Greensboro, North Carolina.
It's only 24 mats.
24. I just eliminated 9 scales. Set them right there. It's just part of the check-in. Okay, you get the
I think
this. Okay, you're on.
I still go back to the educating the parents and the coaches.
I wonder if you could connect it directly to the bracketing software, Christian, where they had to step on the scale. And obviously they didn't make weight; they'd be DQ'd. And then listen, you'd have some people probably in the beginning trying to game it a little bit, but then eventually people realize if they're cutting weight and they're stepping on the scale 3 or 4 times a day, they're going to wrestle like crap. So they're probably going to stop doing it, or they're going to get DQ'd because they miss weight or whatever, right?
Exactly.
And they would learn. It's not a bad idea. I mean, I think you could have it step up. You could have, I mean, it's kind of like the wait times, right? When, I don't know if you guys know, like the bracketing software has the wait times where if the time you can wrestle is 9:17 a.m. and you show up at 9:05, it says wait 12 minutes. Like you could say both wrestlers have to step on the scale or whatever it is, and then you could do it. I mean, because if you could, theoretically, if you could eliminate weight cutting, and this is me speaking as a coach too, it would be much better, right? Because it is the whole purpose. If we think about what's the purpose of weigh-ins, is so we wrestle people that are same size, so no one's
Similar
getting an unfair
size.
advantage. That's the freaking purpose of it.
Yeah.
So if we can have people step on the mat and no one's cutting weight and we're all the same size, then that is like that's the essence of what we want.
I think the best thing they did was getting rid of 24-hour weigh-ins in college.
Oh yeah.
You think?
But I mean, college it should be easy because there's only 20 guys. It's 10 weights. You literally step on the scale and then you go on the mat.
Yeah,
if you were in a big long tournament, you would have to be very strategic with what you weighed in first, and then your intake of food and liquids throughout the day. If you had to make weight before every match.
I wouldn't hate it if it was just one match. I mean,
it was 24 hours.
If it's every match, honestly, JD, if it was every match, you would. I mean, maybe it would make some people neurotic, but you'd also probably want to wrestle a weight class where you had a couple pounds for yourself, where
for sure.
You were 168 and you were wrestling 170. So hey, if you drank a little and you didn't pee before the match, then you're 169 now, and you're still under.
All right, I gotta smack down the chat real quick because horrible takes. It would slow everything down an insane amount. No, it would not. It's just a part of the check-in process. It takes 4 seconds to step on a scale. You're on and you wrestle, or you're off and it's a forfeit.
If you make everybody tie their shoes and put their shoes on, then that's 2 minutes.
Weigh in with your shoes.
No. Weigh in with your shoes. That's
shoes and singlet. We're not slowing anything down. How many guys would go all day? How many guys would go all day without eating? The losers would. Anyone that's doing it the wrong way, if you don't eat, you're in the wrong weight class. If you can't,
and they might try it the first time or whatever, right? And they'd realize, hey, this is again, just like I yelled at my wrestlers last night, the goal is not to make weight. The goal is to wrestle really well, right?
Yeah.
And so they may try it and they realize it's stupid and it's not beneficial, and then they'll stop. Maybe the really stupid ones continue to do it, but most people would evolve.
So how about they just add a hydration test? Wouldn't that be easy the day before?
No,
your
not.
hydration?
Nah,
I think that's.
can't do
I
that.
think that's. I think hydration testing for the entire nation of that's going to wrestle in summer, spring tournaments is like way less feasible than just putting a scale next
then
to
have
a
a scale.
mat.
Yeah.
And just
That's
making
gonna
weight
be
all
it,
day.
yeah.
And yes, maintaining your weight throughout the day would be a nightmare for 5 weigh-ins. It's not a nightmare if you're not cutting weight. If you're cutting weight to hold 138 all day long and you should be weighing 145, yeah, that's a nightmare. That's the point, Joe. Joe, you're smarter than me. You should know that.
Like I think what is a long time ago, back in the NCAA's, they weighed you in when they used to weigh you in like the day before. They actually weighed somebody in like later on that day, and there were some people that had like a 15-pound differential from when they weighed in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Of course
I
they
know. I don't know what it is about the body's mechanism, but I can tell you with my UFC fights specifically, I don't know why, but they always made you weigh in when you arrived at venue day of.
Mhm.
And they never did that with any other fights I had, but I would make weight the day prior at 171, 170 plus 1 pound. And all training camp, I would walk around 183 to 185. Never, and I was really disciplined, never really above it much, maybe like half a pound, right? But it was always like before my workout, I would be weighing in exactly in that window. And at all 3 fights I had in the UFC, I was 190 to 192 when I walked into venue. Now I had clothes on, so maybe I didn't have shoes, but I did have clothes on, so maybe minus a
We know.
pound ish. So I don't know what it is about like cutting that weight and then your body like retains it, you know. So you weigh way heavier, and now way heavier than I ever did during training camp. It was really strange.
You suck in that water and you hold it.
The answer to all the questions, Jason, how stressed kids would be. Only kids that are stressed are the ones that are cutting weight.
But at the
Those
same,
are the only kids that are stressed.
but everybody's saying how
It
stressed
would be less
but
stressful.
It'd be way less stressful.
right?
But what about is anybody saying anything about the safety of the kids? It's like how
Exactly.
stressed. It's
Stressed.
all about the safety.
They're only stressed if they're cutting weight. And the whole thing can be flipped and just come down to a wrestling contest against people who are similar size. If we just change this one little thing, that's all it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I'll play devil's advocate. I'm trying to think of. Let's say, okay. We'll just for theory, we'll just include their singlet and their shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
The weight classes are 132 and 138. If I have a kid, and again, this might be a process of evolution, but if I have a kid who weighs 135, just normal, comes to practice 135, shoes and singlet on, right? Do I have him wrestle 132 or 138? And it's like, because obviously in our minds, 132 is not all that far away, but if he misses it, then he's out of the tournament, you know? So it's like, well, shit, should we just have him wrestle 138? Or can he do a few things, you know, to make 132 and kind of hold it all day?
Mhm.
Or is that going to be too stressful, right? Or is that going to make him wrestle poorly? And I think that would be like, I think that would be kind of a trial and error. Obviously, he's 141. I'm not going to wrestle 132, right? It's freaking stupid. It's just not going to happen. But if he's 135, do I have him go down a couple pounds, or can he, you know, obviously so I always go over with kids, like there's generally 2 ways to lose weight. There's your body mass, which could be fat and or muscle. And generally that comes off really slowly, maybe 1 to 2 pounds per week. So like in college, I would get so fat in the summers. Or when I retired, I got fat. I'm a little skinnier now, not super skinny. And so college, I get 200 pounds, right? And I would come down to about 178 to 180 over the course of 2 or 3 months, right? A long period of time. But I'd lose body mass.
Mhm.
I wouldn't lose water. And then the second way to lose weight is water, which can happen really, really quickly. So, you know, it's like, okay, well, could a guy go on a little stricter diet and go from really a walk around, say 135 to a walk around 131, and they probably some kids probably could, you know, if they were a little more strict on their diets.
Yeah.
type of thing. But obviously, yeah, water weight.
Are they
I mean,
that?
what?
We're talking about young kids right now. I could see
High
this.
school. I thought we were talking about high schoolers.
But
Yep.
but the only the high schoolers, but also the some of the problem is the younger kids below the high school. One, are they that disciplined? Even freshmen in high school, are they that disciplined? By your senior year, you might be that disciplined, but a freshman is not going to be that disciplined.
But so a good coach, if I know my kid is not going to be able to handle it, I'm going to say, don't freaking wrestle that weight class because it's going to be terrible. Like, you're not going to wrestle well. You're not disciplined enough to handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, now
but
we're,
smart, but
a
there's
lot of
not
good
smart
out there.
coaches.
There's a lot of not good coaches out there.
but
not
we're,
good
we're
coach
talking
out
hyper, like a good coach should say that. But at the same time, like these guys, it's also the coach's job to win, and they're trying to fill their lineups with guys that's going to win. So if they're going to have a guy that can make that lower weight class that win, they're not going to say, it's best for you not to wrestle that weight class. We're going to lose the dual meet, but are they going to say, hey, I need you to cut weight and make that weight class so we can win this dual meet?
And where I might poke an issue or hole with this is especially like at the upper weights where maybe a guy's natural body weight is say 194. But if you eat and drink, a little bit, you might weigh 195.5 and you're above that weight class. Now you're going to make him wrestle up 25 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's.
I would say I would say if your natural weight is over 195, then you should go up. Or
Well, what if his natural weight's 194, but if you eat a sandwich and drink a bottle of water, you're above it. That's where it gets tough. You're really going to tell like a kid, like,
194.
you're going to have a competitive advantage at this weight, but if you eat this sandwich and this water, all of a sudden you're going to be at a very strong disadvantage.
So I think that's what we're talking. If it's like a 2-pound thing, I don't think it's going to be too stressful on your body to maybe eat a little bit less that day. Like, instead of eating a big meal or drinking a full Gatorade, you're drinking like a little bit of Gatorade, you're kind of sipping, and then you're eating like small snacks. Like, that's probably not too much of an issue. It's not like you're telling the guy to go from 202 down to 1, right? I mean, not something like that. Because then, yes. Because the idea is when you are severely dehydrated, anything you drink just stays in you. I don't know, JD. I don't know if you've cut a lot of weight for stuff like that, but it's like, talk about the fighting thing again. Like when I would make weight, right? So I'd make weight at, let's say, at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or whatever it was on a Friday morning. I would have cut all that water weight prior to that. Then if I'm chugging water, I mean, I could drink and eat and drink and eat. I'm not going to take a pee for like, I don't know, 6-8 hours, right? Like it's a long time because my body's just reabsorbing everything because it's lacking it. And so like if you're severely dehydrated and you're, and you're drinking stuff, it's going to stay in. Whereas like early in the week, I don't really, I've tried it a few times. I don't think it helps at all. So whatever. But like the water loading thing where they drink a gallon of water, like if you're hydrated and you start drinking like a gallon of water, you just start peeing and you can't stop. Like you just pee and pee and pee and pee because you're hydrated and your body doesn't really need anymore. So it just goes out, So I think if it was a pound or two and your body was kind of normal and hydrated, anything you drank, you would come out. Whereas if you were dehydrated, it wouldn't be the case.
JD, your point is equally true for people who are without the mat side weigh-in. It's just as true. There's people on the margins for a weight class. So whether it's a mat side weigh-in or not, it doesn't change the fact that person is in an identical scenario. Or there's someone in a similar weight class. Maybe he weighs 188 or maybe he weighs 196 or 98. And if he can't get down to 195, then he's got to go up to 20. There's people in that tweener stage no matter what. So the solution is if they're making weight right then and there are going to be people in the beginning who try to crash down, and they're going to fall off a cliff, and they're going to wrestle terribly. And in very short amount of time, people will realize you cannot suck down and hold your weight 5 times in a day.
And what if they don't? Like, there's a lot of people that's doing it. It's not that they're going. Some of them is not going to wrestle terribly, and they're like, "Oh, I could do it," and they still, even though
that's not true. I disagree strongly.
You think everybody wrestles terribly that cuts weight?
I think most people who I think in college it's pretty obvious to see who the extreme weight cutters are because in tournaments where they may have an easy match first round and they may have 5 hours before a hard match, They wrestle better. And in dual meets where it's 1 hour, like you see them wrestle like crap. I mean, they absolutely do. And this is where Keith Gothard's saying everyone's going to keep cutting weight. Keith, usually you have some pretty good takes. You're kind of a fool on this one because the 1 hour weigh-ins for college, because I'm old enough where people I knew were before that system. Right. And the 1 hour system was relatively new when I was in college. So like my college coaches didn't have the 1 hour weigh in. Older guys on my teams didn't have the 1 hour weigh in. And it distinctly changed how much weight people were cutting. Like very, very drastically, it changed. Yes. So yes, weigh-in rules do affect the amount of weight people cut. And that one was huge, right? And like for Fargo, listen, I am advising people, kids on my team, now hopefully intelligently, I am advising them to cut a little more weight than I would advise them to do during the season when they have to make weight on a 1 hour weigh-in, or where they have, for high school state, right, they have to make weight every single day. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm advising them to cut a little more weight. So yes, weigh-in rules do affect the amount of weight cut. There's no doubt about that whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about how international weigh-in rules have changed. Who goes at what weight? There's people that don't even consider going the weight they used to wrestle in because it's not even a scientific possibility.
International, yeah, it's a great one.
And so extrapolate that to a mat side situation. It's going to drastically change who attempts what. So I just have to strongly disagree that this wouldn't have a profound impact in the amount of kids. And that's what this is ultimately really about. I mean, I don't want to see about the safety. I don't want to see drastic weight cuts internationally either. I don't think that's good. But man, at least they're professional athletes. These are high school athletes, and you also have to consider it's an existential issue for wrestling if kids are dying doing the sport, and if making the weight is part of it, that's a risk that threatens wrestling as a whole.
Agreed. And you know, the stigma from like what was it, 25 years ago when those three wrestlers died that weekend. I mean, it sent shockwaves through the wrestling community. We changed the whole weight classes. 118 became one. We added 7 pounds to every weight class after that. Did away with the saunas. Because I remember back in the day, you used to put, people still do it, you put the bicycle in there and you're cutting 15 to 20 pounds the night before. My roommate was wrestling 126, but in the summer I think he weighed like 175. I ain't gonna call no names.
What?
That's audacious.
Dwight Henson.
I ain't calling no names.
Yep.
I knew exactly who it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, that what happened the last time when wrestlers were dying, it changed the whole community, and it did put a black eye on the sport for a while there that were just unsafe, but a lot of education happened. I think everybody back then was taking creatine and cutting weight, which was like a push and pull on the body.
Yeah.
The supplements have gone away. The bikes in the sauna and all those were big things. Yeah. Is it time for us to do another reevaluation? Yes.
Yeah.
And look at the big picture and look at the safety of the kids. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this, Christian, because I said this earlier, but we didn't really dig into it. Is jiu-jitsu does mat side weigh-ins, correct?
Some they it's
I
really
thought
close.
I did it. The one jiu-jitsu worlds I competed in, I'm pretty sure you had to weigh in with your gi on.
With your gi, yes.
Or was it no gi? I don't remember. No, I did no gi. So it was, but your clothes. You weighed in with your clothes. Like I believe, this is a long time ago now. You got called to the bullpen area,
mm-hmm.
and then they would give you your match, and they'd say this guy and this guy, mat 5, and before you walked out, you stepped on the scale.
It's very close. Worlds is really close to it. You do weigh in your gi before gi Worlds. It's one time weigh in, I believe, but like ADCC is day before, day of, and the second day. So you 3-day weigh-ins for a 2-day competition. So they are a little more, but there's gonna be some wild weight cuts for ADCC for sure. There's some. I mean, Gary Tonon's going 66. That is gonna be absolutely wild. If you know who that is.
I do know who that is.
But there are some mat side examples, but not to the degree that I think would be actually helpful and would absolutely eliminate weight cutting. And it is the one way most drastically impact weight cutting and to prevent it from happening at such a level. Nothing will get rid of it entirely, but this is the one thing that could unquestionably limit it to the highest degree. And anyone that disagrees, there's no logic that you could possibly apply that could change my mind.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think in a sport like MMA, there's like a real health factor when you look at the first couple weigh-ins of people still trying to cut a lot of weight and then taking head trauma. Like, that's actually like it could be a real health issue. I don't think it's as much of a health issue in wrestling.
But if you cut, I mean, head injuries are a thing in this sport too. Not to the degree at MMA, they're the likelihood where the goal is actually to concuss your opponent. But man, it's a thing that can happen, and
it happens in
it happens frequently, and it happens frequently in wrestling.
Tyler, our producer, just talked about trying to pick up a dog and got a concussion.
That's a good point.
Putting Tyler on blast.
It can happen to any of us. So yeah, I think it's important. I think the change is a little. Yeah, I'm not saying any change is going to be simple, but I think, man, you want to talk about a worthwhile change. This is it. And at the end of the day, frickin' the Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Dakes and whoever they are, the next generation, they're still going to be the ones that make the teams. And maybe they make it at 86 kilos and not 74 or whatever. Or maybe they win NCAAs at the first weight at 149, not 141. But the best wrestlers are still going to win.
Even look at Kyle Dake. That's a good example right there. The man went 4 different weight classes, and each time he performed, he probably still would have won 4 at staying at 41. But every time he went up, he seemed to have gotten better.
Yeah.
I mean, the weight. That's an example. I know Cael was not a big fan.
I don't like to use Cael Dake as an example though, because he's like an athletic freak. Like the average person can't do what Cael Dake does. Like he went up to 86, beat Jaden Cox, and then now he's making the team at 74.
But I mean, like good coaches.
Some people need to find their ideal weight.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like some coaches, I remember, Cael, I'm gonna use Cael as an example. He doesn't like weight cutting.
Do you know him?
I don't know him. I've seen the news articles on him. He always recommends. He puts the best guys in the best weight class. He doesn't say you got to cut down, suck down, because if a wrestler's not having fun, they don't perform that well.
Yeah.
And cutting weight is not fun.
It is not fun. It is the antithesis of fun. Yeah, maybe this will be one of my new crusades. Matt side.
Crusade it.
Well, like I said, the crusade we should be on, first of all, before even we get to Matt's side weigh-in, freaking education.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if Ben Askren's that crazy wrestling parent. CP might be one of those crazy wrestling parents where they're pushing their kids way more than, their 8-year-old needs to be a national champion.
No, my 9-year-old, I'll tell you, my 9-year-old, she didn't so the first, she did 4 tournaments this year, and she didn't know, there was no, you didn't have to make a weight class. But then the last one, I was almost tempted. Every time I got her on the scale, she was 55 and a half. As the weight class, her 55 or 60. And so I was like, do I just make her because half pound is hey, don't eat lunch or something, right? It's not a big deal. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to say nothing, And then she went, so I registered for 55, just in the case that if she showed up and she was 55 or less, she could be 55. And if she wasn't, she would just go up, And I was actually, I think it was NCAA. So I was gone and I had someone else take her to weigh-ins. And so they told her she missed weight. And she's like, what does that mean? What? She was freaking out because they told her she missed weight. But I knew there was a chance that she probably wouldn't make it. But then she was mad at me because she missed weight. And I'm like, don't worry about it. No big deal, But she was it was caught up in her head that they said she missed it.
I've been to wrestling tournaments where I hear parents yelling at their kids because they make weight or simple things. That's ingrained in the kid's head. So that screws up a kid.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it starts, even before it gets to the coaches, the parents is the one that say, you're screwing your kid up. You're building that mental block that, hey, I got to make weight. I got to go lower. I got to go lower to win, instead of I gotta be the best at where I'm at the weight class instead of I gotta go down.
Yeah, it's also just kind of I think you're alluding to like a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like, well, I have to cut weight to be good. So if I'm not cutting weight, I'm not going to wrestle well. And then, okay, if I try a tournament where I don't cut a bunch of weight and I do badly, it's because I wasn't cutting weight. Not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not it is literally totally unnecessary. It's not necessary. It doesn't have to exist in the sport to figure out who the best wrestler is. It's just this thing we created, and then we created weigh-in rules out of convenience. It's a lot easier if we just do it the day before, just knock out an hour before or whatever, when really convenience is really the only argument you can actually make. Oh, it's hard for coaches to have to maintain. No, it's not hard if they're just not cutting a bunch of weight.
Well, I think, okay, if we're going to do this mat side weigh-in, and the brackets, somebody's got to get pulled out, I think, most bracketing software just hit the random shuffle. If the bracket you might have the two top guys wrestling the first round, but...
Well, I don't think you even have to change it. You should still seed brackets if you're able to. And then if a guy doesn't make weight at the mat, it's a forfeit. It's a forfeit, and that guy gets to advance. I think very quickly, listen, because...
What was it last year, Christian? I think it was... I want to say junior 100, which is junior 100 is a ridiculous weight class, which they should just eliminate because very few people are that small.
A lot of times cadets win.
It's the weakest bracket, and a lot of times it's 16U bumping up because it's easier.
Yep.
I think it was that bracket. Don't quote me on this. It was a bracket. Quarterfinals were the morning, right? So in Fargo, they do the weight the day before.
I remember
the second morning. 5 of the 8 quarterfinalists missed weight in the same bracket. So someone, I believe, got a bye all the way to the finals.
Exactly.
I don't think it was that many, but it was something absurd.
I checked
was
which way it
last
was.
year.
I think 5 of 8.
Y'all did a podcast on this.
I don't think it was that
you?
many, but a good chunk of them did. I remember, and it's because in Fargo you go night before, and then you only get 2 pounds, but it's like 36 hours later or whatever.
Yeah, 36 hours later.
Didn't y'all do this in the podcast last year? I thought I heard about this here.
I remember talking about
Yes,
it. I'll look up the bracket here.
See, was it junior 100 or was it like cadet 106? It was one of the really small weight classes.
Yeah, I will look for it. But yeah, I mean, also like exactly, of course.
CP.
So
Mat side weigh-ins for every match for a tournament. How do you feel about a 1 pound allowance for each match, or do you feel like that eliminates the purpose?
Well, I don't hate that, but then the problem is, what the best part? It's got to go to youth tournaments sometimes, and if the goal of an allowance is to get kids to make weight, for sure. Because again, little kids, I'm not encouraging any of them to cut weight, but if someone was like, they weigh 83.8 and the weight class is 84. You're wrestling 84, right? That's your weight. But some of these dudes, they for breakfast they're drinking something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the best tournaments for youth is when they don't tell them there's going to be an allowance until weigh-ins, right? They get to weigh-ins like, oh yeah, there's 1 pound allowance. And it's like, yes, no one's going to miss weight,
Right.
But so if you built the allowance in, then it would
you cut
it
the
would
weight
obviously
to match that.
people would play to the allowance.
Yeah.
I can't
condition
find
it.
I can't find for
Hold on,
106
I'm going
or
there.
100 any forfeits, Ben. Not in the quarters.
Maybe it was 16U then. I'll start looking. It was the quarterfinal round. I do remember this distinctly. Let's see. No,
16
that's
freestyle.
I'm looking freestyle 16U. No, not finding it. Maybe
88.
try 18U. Junior 106 maybe.
I looked. It's not there.
What the heck round
This
was it? then?
definitely
Or
happened though. There was
It
a
was the
crazy.
quarterfinals.
Was it 2 years ago, guys? Or
I
2
know
years
there
ago?
was a
We
podcast
didn't have
on
it 2 years ago.
2020, there was no Fargo. Couldn't
Yeah,
be 2 years
there was,
ago.
there was a podcast. I remember this being talked about last year.
Yes. Or was it 3 years ago? Was it 2019 then?
It's possible.
This definitely happened.
I
It
know.
was in 2019.
Well, you
How do you
weren't
know
on the
that?
show then. Ben.
It was more
I feel
recent.
like we talked about it on the show.
Feel like it, but I can't find it either. I'm on here playing around also 2021. Yeah, I can't find it.
I'm searching.
Yep. Is there some way to search forfeits or something like that?
I don't know.
No, there's no easy way to do that.
Someone has it. Someone knows. we'll
Someone
probably,
knows.
for next
Someone tell
Tuesday, we
us,
could hopefully
please.
have.
Sam Herring made the finals. Oh, he
Oh
got
wait,
roughed up by Anthony
Junior
Knox.
106 round of 16 says Kozak. So Junior 106 round of 16. 5 of the 8 matches had forfeits. So it must have been
8. Okay, so I was thinking quarter. That's why I was 5 of the 8. Yep, here it is. Yeah.
Good Lord, 5 of the 8.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking 5 of
look
the
at
8
this.
quarterfinalists, not 5 of the 8 matches.
So round of 16 must be the morning. Has to be.
That's crazy.
That is nuts. Look at this. Yup. See if I can send this to. Well, we don't need to send it. You know what it looks like when there's forfeits.
You know,
Just
you know what
imagine
a bracket
8
looks
matches
like?
and 5 of them not happening because the kids don't make weight. That's what happened. Yeah, that's nonsense and shouldn't be that way. These are kids that made weight somehow that through means that would probably. We look away from, and it's a lot easier to not look away from, or you could stare at it and be like, all right, let's freaking change it. Because who's to say something bad's not going to happen at Fargo this year?
Yeah,
That's very true.
These kids don't have the perspective. I mean, it just happened in Kansas to a freaking nationally ranked kid. This can't happen to an 88-pound cadet, a 14-year-old.
Because I'm pretty sure, if you go, probably 90% of these kids are cutting way more weight than they're supposed to.
Yeah. It's enticing. It's an important tournament.
And it's the one thing I always remember about Fargo when people talking about Fargo is, man, I cut 20 pounds so I could win the bracket. I knew a lot of people always said, hey, man, I'm going to win. I want to win Fargo, so I'm going to go down lower.
Of course.
Hey, I got to pee so bad. I'm fully hydrated.
9:23.
Man, you don't have a cup under
I've
the
been
desk?
holding it for like 10 minutes.
You don't have a cup under the desk, man?
I just go and come back. I mean, unless
You keep being lippy, see how I might not come back.
you better come back. I got to be lippy. Yeah, you can't. This is something you just can't convince me otherwise. Two tenets on this show: Gilman Gas Lezak from bottom, and Matt Side Wayans. Those are the two. Those are the two big ones for me. Both of them are just undeniable realities.
I'm just looking at, I want to take care of the weight problem, but I don't think Matt Side weigh-ins is going to be that would add so much time to a tournament.
No,
it would.
It doesn't have to.
It would.
It should take How much time does it take to step on a scale that's on?
And what happens when one scale breaks?
Okay. Really? A scale
Computers
breaks?
go down all the time at tournaments right now.
We can't figure out a broken
scale goes down, but it's not like constantly that's being used. It's like one time. Like, okay, now we need to find the scale at Mat 1 is wrong. But wait, now a coach, you could challenge it. You stepping on the scale, it says you're wrong. Now you could challenge. Now you have to move to another scale.
No challenging. I've eliminated that. That's not an option. The scales are all
that's
certified.
the argument there.
You
can challenge a scale.
You could challenge a scale for regular weigh-ins, Sion.
Yes, but why is it different? If you're saying that's legitimate, why can't they challenge when they step on?
Because they can't. Because it's a certified scale, and we're going with it. And if you need a certain scale to make the weight, then that doesn't work. There's all these little examples of convenience that you could cite. That doesn't mean they're worthwhile. That doesn't mean they have merit. Just because it exists. Yeah, would it slow it down? Maybe it would slow down. But God forbid a tournament doesn't end at the lickety split. Okay?
And I remember now this is kids now. Tournament going until 2 a.m. I remember back in the day the UNI Open when it was a big tournament. Man, you used to be wrestling until like maybe 1 a.m. That was just brutal. That's
college. Not good either. That's not good. And maybe that's a problem in the sport too, is that we have tournaments that go from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's not ideal either. That's not reasonable for parents. But every complaint is a complaint. None of the complaints actually go to the kids.
Right,
There's never actually hold on. There's never actually a complaint that a child. Hold on,
I said
Sion.
safety.
Yeah, you said it, but then it's like, well, how long is it going to take? Well, it's going to slow the thing down. Well, what if the scale breaks? Like all these little things that they don't even approach the level of magnitude for the problem that weight cutting can be.
But I think yes, the kid's safety, but I'm putting out the things as a person who's ran a tournament. These are situations that's gonna derail a tournament or even stop it from happening. If you got to do all these hoops, then we could. this could possibly even kill the sport because nobody wants to go. I'm just
Here
saying,
we go.
I'm not. I'm just making sense.
This is,
I am making sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. The tournament, the sport doesn't die because it takes an extra 10 minutes to do a mat side weight. The tournament dies because kids die.
But it's an extra 10 minutes times 300 matches.
No, why? No, it doesn't take 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Why would it take 10 minutes? Why would it take longer than 30 seconds to step on a scale and
honestly,
make a weight?
Honestly, you could probably have them do it like they do in the whole mat, hold every mat, right? So as soon as they arrive at the mat, you can step on the scale. Boom, done, right? Whatever.
We could put this into practice so easily, and it would. There's no scenario. You're either on or you're not.
CP, put a tournament together and let's try your theory.
Yeah, very easily. Because the only difference is I'm putting a scale next to the table, and they step on it before they wrestle.
Hey Ben, put a mock tournament together and see how that changes at your gym.
You should, Ben.
Let's test that theory.
Well, if I have the technology, I will. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, it's not a disqualifier. It's the old thinking that preserves these archaic things that have no benefit to the sport. There's no benefit to the sport, none whatsoever. It's all about convenience for the adults making money off the tournament.
Well, it's not just convenience. You still have to worry about the kids, and it's not.
Well,
it's still
as long as it doesn't slow us down. I worry about the health and safety of the kids as long as we get out of here by 7 p.m. I worry about the health and safety as long as all the scales work. No, there can't be a caveat. It either matters or it doesn't.
Or the tournament, you got to look at the whole picture.
I am.
Nobody's discounting this kid's part, but you got to look at the whole picture.
I am looking at the whole picture.
All those things can affect the tournaments, whether it's happening or not. One of those, something goes wrong with the scale, it derails the whole tournament.
Nope.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. You have multiple scales. It's not that hard. I mean, I've never seen a tournament come to a screeching halt because there's no working scales. You have scales at work.
Because now most tournaments they actually ask the coaches to bring their scales, so they use the other different scales.
Yep.
And like I said,
they do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna go back to this. Just like you're allowed to challenge the scale, how you gonna say you can't challenge? Because if this kid is on weight on this scale,
it wouldn't be hard to prior to the tournament just line them all up and make sure they're all the same weight. It's pretty simple.
Man, I don't know. I just don't understand. It's just a strange reflex to me that this is where the conversation goes. And that what bothers me, Sion, is your perspective is not even a rare one. It's this would be the pervasive thing. If I took this to different tournament directors and the biggest tournament directors in the sport, it would all be about everything would devolve to the time and the small examples of. I mean, how often does a scale break? It's a very rare thing that happens, but it's being presented as the thing that is going to bring it to a screeching halt. All the little small examples are the whole thing. Yes, they are. That is a small example.
It's not a small example.
I ran weigh-ins at a freaking high school for 9 years. Never once did a scale break. You put batteries in the scale, a scale works. This is janky Buffalo guy.
I never had a scale break.
Give me a break, Sion.
Or
give me a break.
Not calibrated right into different weights. I could be 3.3 pounds over on one scale and right on the other.
What? Stop.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Y'all have never seen that?
No.
So what?
I actually had. You know what? Parents love bitching about scales. I'm gonna roast all my parents right now. I had all these youth parents. You know who you are. Monty Beal, James Moody. You know who you are.
Shout out. Calling out names.
Good. Hey, they were complaining about my scale all winter, Christian. So wrong. It's so wrong. And then I had the scale guy come in. I said, you guys are right. I haven't had this checked in a while. Let me bring him in. He puts the 50 on, 50.0. He puts the next 50 on, 100.0. He puts the next 50 on, 150.0. He puts the next 50 on, 200.0. Uh-oh. And I'm like, so then I had to be like, oh my God, is that good? I'm like, take him back off. I got to take a video of this. So I took a video of it, roasted them all. So moral of the story, your scale can be absolutely perfect, and you're going to have people like Cael Williams complaining about how wrong your scale is.
I did not say your scale is wrong.
Absolutely perfect.
But some of them could be wrong.
I'm trying to think of some more names of people who complained about my scale. I got at least 2 of them.
I don't know. He probably had it calibrated right before they put the weights on, and then took the video after that.
No, that's what they said.
I want to see. Yeah, exactly.
I did not do that.
All we have is your word.
I'm an honest man.
Guys, last thing, and we can move on. Keith Gothard. This is my final. I've dunked on you for an entire show. This will be the last dunk.
Man, I thought he was normal till this show. Now
yeah,
I got
this is crazy. This is. It literally makes me think like. I'm sorry, Keith. I think less of your opinions based on your opinion around this. And I love you, Keith. But the problem comes in when there's an issue with mat side weigh-ins and input with a system like track. That's where bracketing become a mess. No, it's very simple. Everyone's in the bracket. You make the bracket. The registration closes the night before. Then you build the bracket. Okay? Then right before the weigh-ins or right before the match, they make weight or they don't make weight. And if they don't make weight, it's just a forfeit in the bracket. It's very simple. Yeah. There's no bump ups. There's nothing like that. You have your opportunity to make the weight and be in the tournament, or you miss weight and you're not. Keith, you're not on my side.
But I mean that takes out 2 matches, and like it just starts.
That's a shame.
You have 5 people not making it. You know, you got forfeit here, forfeit there, forfeit here.
Exactly.
Forfeit there.
If you don't make the weight, you don't get to be in the tournament.
But I mean,
basic tenet of wrestling. You make the weight, or you're not in the tournament.
Wait. So now you have one guy that maybe to make the finals, he's got to wrestle 5 matches, and you got the other guy that, oh man, he wrestled 1 match, so the other guy's getting to the final all beat up, and the other guy's nice and fresh. How is that fair?
It's not. I mean, life's not fair.
Whatever.
There's forfeits all the time. There's unbalanced brackets all the time.
Should be done. This is. I think.
Yeah.
We'll kill this. We will kill.
Yeah. I'm getting upset at Sion now.
I see Christian's hand. Put your hand. To the right
man.
Again, Christian.
I can't take Sion.
Christian, put your hand to the right. What in the world's going on there, JD? Do you see that?
Yeah, it's because they're sitting right next to each other.
But why is it a split screen there?
Because it's 2 different cameras.
2 different cameras.
But you guys usually use 1 camera, right?
Yeah, but it's different for the quad
Today
box.
It's 2.
Okay.
You know what?
All right. Yeah, we should be done because that was we were in circles there.
Yeah, we went in circles.
CP just doesn't admit he's wrong.
I'm not wrong, but I can't possibly admit it. I'm unquestionably correct here.
I'm gonna be banned from the show for another year.
You know what? SC on these Iowa State questions. And then
what Iowa State question?
Which ones? Can you read it?
We got 3. Okay, I'll read it. Sion. Next year's 141-pound national final. Casey Swiderski versus Jesse Mendez. How shocked would you be?
I've seen Swiderski. I've seen the kid wrestle only once. Do I think he has the final potential yet? No. He's got to go out there and get some tough matches under his belt before I can say he's going to make the finals. If he makes the finals next year, shit, I'd be shocked as hell.
All right, there we go.
I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if Mendez made the final because I don't think he's going to wrestle this year, and if he does,
Mendez is not making the final.
And I don't think he's a 41 if he does. Honestly, Swiderski, I'm not like falling out of this chair if he makes the finals at 141 this year. I think he is really good. I think he's a potential NCAA finalist at some point in his career, and if it happens in year 1, this is kind of the weight to do it, right?
Yeah.
Swiderski's like Joey Chestnut. He got that dog in him.
I love Casey Swiderski. He is a beast. He's going to be a big 41 too. And I think, the typical there's obviously a learning curve for all true freshmen, but I think on the physical side, he's not a boy going into, but he's going to be physical enough to.
With the new NCAA rules, they got to be attached, and the possibility, I think you're going to see a lot of freshmen get that look right off the bat or in the big meets and like, oh, let's throw him out there. Can he pick up a top 10 win? All right, then he's the Armel potential. Let's throw him out there let's throw him out there for NCAAs.
Yeah. I want to see him. It'd be great to watch him.
Question?
Yeah, what else you got?
Question number 2. What do you think of Iowa State's incoming recruiting class?
It's a pretty decent recruiting class. Is it a national championship down the line recruiting class? Not yet. There's just still too many holes around that. It's not a solid enough team to win a national title. if you're going to be competing with the Iowa, the Penn States, and the Oklahoma States and the Ohio States, they don't have a solid class to score points at nationals.
What place did
to
Iowa
win.
State finish last year?
Shit, I don't know. Not the top 10.
No.
But this class is a very good class. It's
I
not
didn't
just
say it
an
wasn't a
alright
good class, but I don't see it as a class that's going to be competing for a national title. They still have too many holes to fill before it's a. They need more points.
I mean, no one's freaking. You could combine some of the best teams in the country. They're not beating Penn State this year.
Well, I'm not saying this year, but that class
Oh,
down the
eventual.
line, yeah.
Eventual. Okay, and what's your go-to
Question
meal?
Number 3. What's his go-to meal?
Who's mine?
Yeah.
Yours.
I'm Jamaican, man. I love curry goat.
Curry goat.
I love.
Curry
Why
goat
would
with
you
rice
call
and
it goat
peas.
curry though?
Yeah, we don't call it goat curry. Americans do. We call it curry goat.
Yeah.
I know why. I'm asking why.
That's an American thing. That's American.
Okay.
We call it curry goat. I like my curry goat or aki and
Build the
sawfish.
plate though. Build the plate. You got the goat. What are your sides? And what's your dessert afterwards?
My curry
Some black
goat.
beans,
My
probably.
plate is curry goat, rice and peas. Probably put
Peas?
some jerk
Rice and
pork.
peas or rice and beans?
Rice and peas.
Peas.
We call it rice and peas. You call it rice and beans or whatever.
Oh, so
But
it is
is it
beans?
actually peas or is it actually
peas.
beans?
It's peas.
Oh, they are
Rice and
peas.
Yes.
Okay.
So curry goat, rice and peas, some oxtail. Probably put some jerk pork on there.
A little turf and
And a
turf.
little salad.
Oh, a salad.
Yeah.
All right, now, and what's your go-to dessert?
You know, I'm a simple person. What do I like for my dessert? Vanilla ice cream.
Okay.
Simple.
That is
Hey,
simple.
there we go. We'll
I do
vanilla
like.
ice
I like vanilla with a lot of different desserts.
Nah, just
cream.
vanilla.
I mix something in there. I mean, I
And
don't hate
which
vanilla ice cream,
which
but-
wine would pair well with this? This is a wine connoisseur, Sion Williams. He has many fine wines.
Good wine. You know,
A nice red, a white.
It definitely a red. It's not a red wine. I would definitely have to go with a good Merlot.
Oh, love a good Merlot.
Yeah, go well.
Ben's never had a Merlot.
It goes well with the goat,
Merlotless
in my
Ben.
opinion.
Yeah. Do you ever drink wine, JD?
Yeah, sometimes.
I feel like you're just an IPA crusher.
You know, I don't like IPA, man. Every time
Sometimes.
I drink IPA,
Sometimes a light beer
it makes
crusher.
me crap.
Sometimes a wine crusher.
Well,
IPAs make me crap the next day like a racehorse.
like a
If
racehorse.
you have a lot.
Racehorse is
Interesting.
crap.
I didn't know that they were known,
racehorse.
especially for their bowel movements. That's
For
interesting.
their crapping, yeah.
Yeah, well, I learned that today. Okay, well, I think we can call it 9:39.
Now that we know racehorse is crap, like that. We can
I just
call
think
it.
they taste like trees. They just taste terrible. Horrible.
IPAs,
Yeah, just a horrible drink.
they're bitter. You know, there's
It's
some.
a large spectrum.
Yeah, the spectrum.
I don't like all.
Some people just
Don't
like
know.
them though.
I
Some
don't
people
drink
really just
anything,
like
so I can't have an opinion.
the IPAs. Yep, and
No.
Ben's excluded from this conversation. Proud of Ben for that. That's good.
Ben,
You're not
did-
missing anything with IPAs, brother. I'll tell you that
Ben,
right
just
now.
just go drink vodka straight, man. That'll work.
Don't drink vodka straight. Don't cut weight. Thank you guys
Great
so
idea.
much for
Thanks, Jeff, for the
listening.
advice.
We'll be back next Tuesday. Come heck or high water. We hope you have a great weekend. That's our plan. We will see you next Tuesday. Thanks a lot. Thanks to Ben. Thanks to JD and Sion. Take care of your health. Take care of yourselves and each other. Jerry Springer. Goodbye.